What's going on, seventh grade? Here it is. Week what, seven of distance learning. Man, 7 weeks without you kids? Do I miss you? Yeah, I can say I do. I haven't had to tell you to sit down and be quiet in a long time. I'm sure your parents are doing plenty of that, and I appreciate that. So here we go. Here we're in our last week of Fables. So we're going to talk a little bit about Fables and Aesop, and what do Fables actually try to portray when we're talking about the moral objective of each one. And I'm going to read you a couple Aesop's Fables just for the fun of it. They're my favorites. So, fables originally belonged to the oral tradition, which, if you recall, oral tradition means being passed down orally from generation to generation, much like how your grandpa or grandma would tell you a story about something that they learned from their grandparents and their mothers, and you will tell your kids if you are so lucky to have some in the near future, in about 20 years. Um, they were collected from centuries after Aesop's death too. It didn't stop when Aesop died, and people are even asked the question: Was Aesop really a person? Was he a real person? And I don't know if they've even ever come up with the reality of that. But by the time many other stories and jokes and proverbs were brought out and given and ascribed and written by Aesop, and also although some of the material um, came after his death, it kind of looks back to the Greek cultural sphere of life. And the process of inclusion has continued up until today, with some of the fables still having been recorded in the late Middle Ages. Uh, some that just came from other parts of the world rather than just Europe. Um, the process is it's a continuing thing, and stories are still being added to Aesop's conglomerate, as you could say, which kind of says, was he the true only author of Aesop's fables, or were there many people who actually did this? They were put to use during the Renaissance era, when we know that Renaissance means rebirth, when we're trying to reborn our lives towards religion and literature and art, and becoming a more um, educated society. So the Renaissance, big period. But you also have to look at the fact that um, they were the education of children now, but prior to that, Aesop's fables were directed more at the adult world through the depiction of sculpture and painting and other mediums, made into dramas and songs. In addition, there have been reinterpretations of every different fable that he ever wrote. And as a matter of fact, that's what your writing assignment was to create a fable. Who knows? Maybe one day Aesop will decide that it's good enough for his books. Aesop's fables have been popular for thousands of years. They are simple stories, mostly have animals. They were told by Greek slave Aesop. He was a slave around 620 BC. Um, his talent for storytelling got him his freedom. I mean, he could weave a story better than anybody. And because of that, he was granted freedom. And these stories passed down by a word of mouth, oral tradition again, for centuries, and were first actually written down in 300 BC. They were later translated into Latin and taught to the Roman schools in the Roman Empire. The storylines, they're universal, so they're every moral can be placed and put upon any society at any time, and they helped in developing the character of children all over the world. Hopefully, as I read three of them to you, you too will also understand. So Aesop's fables they're comparable to the parables that we find in the Bible. They're meant to offer advice and how to live one's life through the art of storytelling. They're designed to illustrate some of the basic rules of ethics and morality. Ethics and morality. So, without further ado, I am going to start with one of my favorite ones, and it's called The Miser and His Gold. I'm not sure that's the correct name, but once upon a time there was a miser who used to hide his gold at the foot of a small tree in the garden. But every week he used to go and dig it up and gloat over his gains. A robber who had noticed this went and dug up the gold and stole it. When the miser next came to gloat over his treasures, he found nothing but the empty hole. He tore his hair, raised such an outcry that all the neighbors came around him, and he told them how he used to come and visit his gold. "Did you ever take any of it out?" asked one of them. "Nah," he said, "I only came to look at it." "Then come again and look at the hole," said a neighbor. "It will do you just as much good." Hmm, what's the moral of that one? Well, according to Aesop, the moral is wealth unused might as well not exist. So when you think about that, that's like, hmm, talent that you have, if you don't use it, it's not there. So you don't do your homework, you get bad grades, even though you're the smartest kid in the class. Well, if you don't use that talent, then you really don't have that talent. Is that correct? All right, another one that I really, really like is called The Fox and the Crow. This one's kind of cool, and it goes like this. A fox once saw a crow fly off with a piece of cheese in his beak and settle on a branch of a tree. "That's for me, as I am a fox," said Master Reynard, and he walked up to the foot of the tree. "Good day, Mistress Crow," he cried. "How well you are looking today! How glossy your feathers! How bright your eyes! I feel sure your voice must surpass that of other birds, just as your figure does. Let me hear but one song from you that I may greet you as the queen of the birds." The crow lifted up her head and began to caw her best. But the moment she opened her mouth, the piece of cheese fell to the ground, only to be snapped up by Master Fox. "That will do," said Fox. "That was all I wanted. In exchange for your cheese, I will give you a piece of advice for the future." What was the moral of his? What was the fox going to give him in advice, or her? Well, it is flatterers are thieves in disguise. What is a flatterer? A flatterer, well, that's like Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver, if you ever watch that show. A flatterer will tell you how good you are, how great you look, how smart you are. And they usually do that because they want something from you. So beware of flatterers. They are thieves in disguise. All right, the last one is The Lion and the Mouse. And this one's kind of cool too. So once when a lion was asleep, a little mouse began running up and down upon him. This soon weakened the lion, who placed his huge paw upon him and opened his big jaws to swallow him. "Pardon, O king," cried the little mouse. "Forgive me this time. I shall never forget it. Who knows but what I may be able to do you in return?" The lion was so tickled at the idea of the mouse being able to help him that he lifted up his paw and let him go. Some time after the lion was caught in a trap, and the hunters who desired to carry him alive to the king tied him to a tree while they went in search of a wagon to carry him on. Just then the little mouse happened to pass by, and seeing the sad plight in which the lion was, went up to him and soon gnawed away the ropes that bound the king of the beasts. Was I not right? Said the little mouse. So here we got this lion who spares the life of a mouse by lifting his paw up and letting him run free. And one day they capture this lion, these hunters, bound him to a tree so that they can take him away. The mouse comes by, the mouse cuts the bindings of the lion, and they both go free. So, what is the moral of this story? Well, that's simple. Little friends may prove great friends one day. So, what is that telling me? That's telling me no matter who you are, or what status you are, how big you are, strong you are, treat everybody with respect. Treat everybody the way you would want to be treated. And technically, that person will be your friend. When you need a friend, they will be there for you. So, when we look at the morals of fables, of Aesop's fables in particular, there are four main categories of what these fables should do. And number one, right up there at the top, is you better practice what you preach. So if you're going to practice, if you want to be around people and you want to be loved and respected, practice what you preach. Do what is right for you. Secondly, tell people of your personal experiences when you find yourself in a corner or when you find yourself with a friend that needs help. Tell them about what you've experienced. Um, Reward good behavior. Be happy with people that do well for you. Help those that need help. And lastly, communicate. You know, clicking on my phone ain't communication, people. People your generation have lost the ability to talk to each other. It's important to talk to each other. Now, looking at all of Aesop's fables, there are 10 main morals that he looks at. Number one could be respect. Respect for their elders, mostly. Respect for everybody that is around you. Number two was his love for family. Treat family right. You don't get a second chance on family. Okay? Treat your moms and dad right. Show them love. Just. Number three, adjust and compromise. I mean, if you look through the course of history in America, it's built on compromises. Compromise of 1850, the Missouri Compromise, three-fifths compromise. I could go on forever. But adjust. We have to learn how to adjust as humans, and it makes us a stronger person. Um, Aesop's fables help with mentality, your mood, your behavior, your understanding of life, understanding of everybody that is around you. Um, his fifth one was to respect religion. We're born in a country that was based on freedom of religion, which allows you to practice and preach any religion that you choose. Um, Aesop was a believer of that religion is important, but you cannot put down somebody who does not have the same beliefs as you. So number six would be justice. Have justice. You know, justice. There are always a value that children don't always think of. Um, you have to have justice. You have to be able to speak up and perceive a wrongdoing. So if you're doing something wrong, get caught. You get caught, own up to it. It's integrity. I mean, we all mess up. We all do things we shouldn't do, but own up to your obligations. Own up to your actions. And another one is honesty. You know the old saying, honesty is the best policy. Well, there are times that you might want to keep that back. Like, I don't know, maybe your sister comes down in a dress that's putrid and you say, "Oh, that's a pretty dress." Are you being honest? Uh, I don't know, but honesty is the best policy. Never hurt anyone. That goes for psychologically, emotionally, physically. You know, learn to apologize if you do that, because we all do it. We all make mistakes. So apologize immediately after hurting somebody. And next one is theft. Don't steal. How hard is that? Don't steal. Work for what you want. Work hard. Hard work pays off. I'm being honest here. So that one, and lastly, love education, man, because there is no other thing in life that they can never take. You can't take away education. That's yours forever. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe after this week that our fables will be done. We'll take a test on fables. Um, their lessons to learn. I hope you enjoyed the ones that I read to you. Have a blessed day. Enjoy your families. Enjoy your time home. And I'll see you when I see you, guys. God bless you.
Yeah, yeah.